And all the people said amen. It's another day's journey, and I'm glad about it. But it's not because of something I've done, it's not because of something I didn't do, but it is by the grace of God I made it. And it's by His grace I'll continue to make it. I cannot make it without the grace of God. Giving honor to Pastor Sutton, to all of these, my fellow preachers of the gospel, to the deacons and officers of this great church, visiting officers if there be any, to First Lady Sutton, to my own wife, to all of you, my brothers and sisters in Christ. It is good to be here. We thank God for letting us come to His house just to praise His name one more time. Again, I must bear record, there is no greater name to be praised than that of the name of Jesus. It is still in the text tonight that the name of Jesus every knee must bow and every tongue must confess. We must again give humble homage to Pastor Sutton for once again the invitation of coming to share with you in these series of services. We do not have to ask if God has been good to you, but seeing your faces here again gives testimony to the fact that He looked beyond all of our faults and He saw our needs. The old church still stands correct through the corridors of time. He didn't have to wake me this morning, but He did. Come with me tonight to the book of Daniel. Daniel chapter 3. Daniel chapter 3, I want to commence reading at verse number 23. And I feel the following verses. Daniel chapter 3, commencing with verse 23. There you will find these words, and these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down, found in the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose up in haste, and spoke, and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast three men bound in the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see four men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt, and the form of the fourth is like the Son of God. Thank you. You may be seated. Look to your neighbor, tell your neighbor tonight, this has a purpose. This has a purpose. All right. All right. Yes, sir. Yeah. Sometimes you wonder why you're going through what you're going through. Sometimes you begin to question, did I hear God wrong? Am I going the wrong direction? Am I following the wrong commands? Am I out of the will of God? What did I do for all of this to be going on in my life? Sometimes you begin to question that even though you've tried to be pious in your precept before the master, but yet and still you still have problems. You begin to wonder, am I under punishment for something that I did that I didn't even know that I've done? Because surely if I'm a child of God, I wouldn't be going through what I'm going through. With knowing God like you know God, with God being all-seeing, all-knowing, all-present, all-gracious, all-joyous, all-miraculous, all-merciful, almighty, all-majestic. If He's all of that, why would He let His child go through all of this trouble? You begin to try to figure out, is God really the God that He say that He is? That He got so much grace, but let me go through all of this gloom. He's a God that's filled with mercy, but why am I going through so much mess? It would look like that God would make the burden lighter, make the day brighter. It would look like that the road would get smoother, the enemies would get out of my way, the ditches would get filled before I get there, the lies would get straightened out before it's even told on me, the backstabbing coffee would get blocked before it enters my back. It would look like that God would pay the bill for it get overdue, heal the sickness before I get sick, go through the enemy and deal with them before I even have to get attacked by them. It would look like that God would handle some stuff before I even get to it. And when you find yourself in the midst of trials and tribulation, of heartache and pain, of ups and downs, of problem, plights and peril, you begin to ask yourself, what did I do to get here? Am I talking to somebody in here tonight? When you go to work in the morning and you have another silly supervisor, another confrontation with another crooked and cantankerous co-worker, when you have to deal with a crazy chairman and with a delirious director, you gonna ask yourself one more time, what did I do to get here? When you have to go to the house and deal with children that look like they've lost your mind, they look like you got your last name, but look like they have no kind of characteristic or identification of showing that they got your DNA in you. When you gotta deal with deadbeat daddies and messy mama and greedy grannies and prideful pawpaw and arrogant aunties and crooked and crazy cousins, and you try to figure out why the brother's so braggadocious and the sister acts so silly. Sometime at family dinner, you begin to ask yourself, how in the world did I get here? Even when you come to the house of God and gotta deal with pimping preacher and demonic deacons and treacherous trustees and cantankerous choir member and messy mission to the belligerent brotherhood and a cold cantankerous congregation, you try to ask yourself on Sunday morning, how in the world did I get here? Wonder what you done wrong. But let me help you out tonight. Every problem for the child of God has a purpose. And sometimes God is not punishing you. God is using you. Tell your neighbor, he's using me. In this text, we find 3 Hebrew boys that out of a whole nation that God had chosen, now was the only one that remembered who chose them. Out of everybody that knew the songs of Zion, out of everybody that knew the history of God in Israel, they were the only 3 that day in Babylon that refused to bow down to a golden image and declare God is still God. I'm talking to somebody in here tonight that the reason why sometimes you find yourself in trouble is because you keep letting everybody know that you believe he's still God. The reason why people don't like you at work is because instead of being messy, you keep praying for a miracle and you keep letting them know that I still believe that God is still God. The reason why some family members don't never want to come around you is because you don't want to drink, you want to worship, you don't want to smoke, you want to shout, and you want to always declare to them that Big Mama God is still God. That's why they don't want to sit beside you at church. It's because you get too into it. You don't want to look at Facebook, you don't want to look at Instagram, you don't want to look at Snapchat, you don't want to see what the score is because kickoff has already got started. You want to shout, you want to wave your hand, you want to get up out your seat, you want to jump up and down, you want to holler. They didn't come for all of that, but you want to show that God is still God. Tell your neighbor he's still God. I don't care if you're in favor or in a furnace, he's still God. If you're clear or you got a cold, he's still God. If your mind is all right or you got a migraine, he's still God. If all the bills are paid or you're neck deep in debt, he's still God. I don't care if you got more friends you can count or you can't find a soul to talk to, he's still God. And because he's God, Pastor Sutton, he got a plan. And sometimes my plan causes me to go through hot situations. These 3 men was bound, thrown in a fiery furnace, but yet the furnace had a purpose. 3 things I need to tell you. First of all, it had a purpose. It's because it was not their execution, it was their experience. Don't miss me there. They thought they were going to die. They thought they were about to get wiped out. Everybody was waiting on them to get burned up. But what they thought was an execution was actually about to be an experience. I'm talking to somebody in here right now. If the truth be told, you got some people around you that's already written you off, that's already counted you out, that's already thinking you ain't gonna make it. But what they don't really understand, if they just keep watching, they gonna see an execution turn into an experience. That's the same people that tried to fire you. It's the same people that's gonna give you a promotion. The same people that told you that you wasn't gonna make it. It's the same people that's gonna have to lend you a helping hand. The same people that tried to keep you out the rule is gonna be the same one that's gonna have to open the door for you. The same people that told you lie on you is gonna be the main one that gotta straighten it out. The main people that hated on you is the one that gotta help you tell your testimony. It's because they thought they were about to witness an execution, but didn't know they was about to see an experience. Now, what's the experience? The experience here, Sister Sutton, is that they figured out how to be in a hot situation and stay cool. Tell your neighbor, just stay cool. I don't care what they put on you. I don't care what they say to you. I don't care what buttons they try to push. I'm talking to somebody tonight. When you leave from here, you just stay cool. I don't care what kind of argument they try to start when you get home. I don't care what kind of fight they try to start. You just stay cool. When you go to work in the morning and they try your best to take down all the religion that you just got and put it down so you can act gangster instead of godly, you just go on to your desk and just stay cool. Don't you worry about how they act at ministry meeting. Don't you worry about it. Don't let the one frustrate you. That's always the main one talking about what ain't getting done, and the main one that don't do nothing they own self. Don't you let them make you mad. You just stay cool. Tell your neighbor, stay cool. They didn't fuss. They didn't argue. They didn't charge God foolishly. They just stayed cool. Catching me in here. They didn't holler, come help me. They didn't holler, don't do this to me. They just stayed cool. How cool was they? They were so cool, they told Nebuchadnezzar, I don't know what God gonna do. I don't know if he gonna deliver us from this furnace or he gonna let us burn up. But the one thing we know for sure, that we ain't bowing down to your golden image, because whatever he do, our God is able. Look at your neighbor and say it with some attitude. Tell him, my God able. I don't know who your God is. I don't know what your God can do. But my God is able. I don't care what the doctor say. I don't care what the test results is. I don't care how many times I've been in the hospital room. My God is able. I don't care how broke I am. I don't care how in debt I am. I don't care how many bills is overdue. My God is able. It was not their execution, it was their experience. But then secondly, their experience was a part of their extermination. The old preacher, when preaching this text, used to say in their own theological imagination way that God took the heat out the fire. But Pat, I can't fully go along with that. Because according to the text, that some things and some people got burned up. But here's the thing, it burned up who needed to be burned up. The text said that the mighty men that bound them and threw them in the fire, because the fire was 7 times hotter than it usually is, and because of the urgency of throwing them in the fire, because of the anger of the king, that the men that threw them in got burned up their people that gets in your situation because God needs to burn them out of your life. You ain't catching me here. There are some people that God let get close to your furnace so God can get rid of them out of your life. That's why you don't need to worry about them. That's why you don't need to hold on to them. There are some people that you just need to let God just burn them out. How can I identify the ones that need burning out? It's in the text. The way you identify the ones that need burning out is the people that will attack you off of somebody else's command. Do you know it's some people that don't like you just because somebody else said don't like you? And you know it's some people that do stuff to you just because somebody else told them to do it. And here's the thing, the most dangerous person to be close to me is the person that'll do something to me based off of what somebody else said. Because you so dangerous, you can't even think for your own self. It would be different if you didn't like me. It would be different if you dug the dick. It would be different if you had an all against me. But if you so airheaded that somebody else gotta tell you to attack me, you too dangerous to be around me. That's why I don't hold it just against that braggadocious, buffonic billionaire that's in the White House all by himself. I don't hold it just against him. I hold it against the ones that's around him that'll just do something stupid because of what somebody else told you to do. I wasn't just mad at him. But when Sarah Huckabee would get up and try to cover up a lie just because somebody else told you to do it, that's the dangerous one. The dangerous one is when you know somebody wrong and you're supposed to be an evangelist. You're supposed to be part of the evangelic crowd. But yet because somebody told you that this is the one that you should support, and instead of walking with God, you'll support somebody that'll say 2 Corinthians. That's the one that's dangerous. You're supposed to be the one declaring how much everybody's supposed to love each other, but yet push up the one that's teaching hate all over everybody. He ain't the dangerous one. That's the dangerous one. You got to be careful of those that will attack you based on somebody else's command. But then also you got to let God burn out people that'll bind you for no reason. They tied them up. They bound them and they threw them in. The reason why they needed to get burned up is because they couldn't stay. Is because as soon as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego would have got out the furnace, they'd have bound them right back up and threw them back in the furnace. There are some people that you need to get out of your life. It's because every time you get around them, you get in some type of trouble. Every time you get around them, some type of chaos starts. Every time you hang out with them, your name always get attached to somebody else's business. Every time you get around them, you always got to get some stuff straightened out. And here's the thing. If you are so magnetic to trouble, I don't need to be around you because maybe I don't be in the mess, but being around you will get me messy. You ain't catching me yet. Some people you need to get away from because the only thing they good for is to bind you and put you in trouble. Burn out the men. But it also says it burned up the bind. The text says in verse 23 they were bound and fell down in the furnace. But by the time Nebuchadnezzar looked in the furnace, they were loose and walking around. Which meant, Pastor Sutton, they didn't burn their body, but it burnt their mind. You can't catch me. It didn't hurt them, but it burnt up the hindrance. And sometimes, my brothers and sisters, you got to let God burn up some stuff that's binding you. Let me help you out. Some of your binding binding we call habits. Some of your binding we call addictions. Some of your binding is the thing that's keeping you separated from a strong relationship between you and God. Let me try to help you identify. If every time you try to pray, if every time you read a scripture, the same thing pops up in your mind and distracts you, and you start doing that instead of staying close to God, that just might be your habit, because all habits ain't in a ball. All habits ain't in a van. All habits you don't put up a door. All habits you don't puff and pan. Some habits are personal, and if it's hindering your relationship between you and God, you gotta let God burn up the binding. Oh, be honest with your neighbor. Tell your neighbor, I got some habits. Oh, I know you're saved. I know you're sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost, hell redeemed, heaven bound. You got some habits. I know you shout on Sunday morning. I know you say amen. I know you run up and down an aisle, but you got some habits. I know you the holiest one on your road, but let me help you out. You the hellish one on your seat. It's because all of us in here got some habits. I don't care how long you've been walking with God. It ain't a 24/7 walk with God. You got some habits, and sometimes I can't get to where God wants me to grow to until I let Him burn up some habits. He had exterminated the men, exterminate the binds. That's enough. Let me quit. It's not only do I find that it wasn't my execution, my experience. My experience was a part of my extermination. But then I find that my experience made me an example. They looked over in the furnace. And when they looked over in the furnace, they saw him loose, walking around with no hurt. You ain't catching it. They didn't become the example when they got out the furnace, but they became the example while they were still in the furnace. Because when they looked in the furnace, they saw him loose, walking around with no hurt. You're gonna catch me sooner or later. Sometimes you're not just an example of when you get out. Sometimes you're an example of why you're still going through. That's why I gotta watch how I act while I'm still in my furnace. It's because somebody is looking in my furnace. And when they look in my furnace, they ought to see somebody that's a cool child of God, that ain't worried about the fire that's around her, because I'm loose walking around and I ain't hurt. Now, I'm talking to you. Let me get you closer to me so you can shout with me. When they know you sick, when they know what the doctor diagnosis is, when they know what they told you what's wrong with you, but every time they look at you, don't even look like you got a cold, let alone fight cancer. That's because you're loose. You're walking around and you got no hurt. That's why you can be broke, that you got bills all overdue, but you look like $1 million. It's because you're loose, walking around and it's no hurt. That's why you should be depressed, but you always got a smile on your face, joy in your heart. It's because you're loose, walking around and no hurt. How can I do that in the furnace? It's simple. I promise I'm sitting down. It's because I'm not in the furnace by myself. Because sometimes God can make you such an example that it'll confuse your enemy. Nebuchadnezzar looked in the furnace and he turned around and looked at his counselors and asked them, how many did I put in there? And they said 3. And Nebuchadnezzar said, well, it's a 4th one walking around. And he looked like the Son of God. You got to add the first part to it. The first part of the story is Nebuchadnezzar, in his own imagination, had already visualized what he thought God ought to look like. Took him a golden image and made it into the form form of what he thought God ought to look like. Now, when he see the experience of these three Hebrew boys, and saw the fourth man walking around in there with them, he forgot about what he thought God ought to look like. And when he looked at him, he looked and said, that gotta be God. I'm talking to somebody in here tonight that you ought to walk with God close enough in your situation. You ought to walk with God close enough in your furnace. You ought to walk with God close enough in your store that by the time somebody look at you, they know you ain't walking by yourself. And they look at you and say, that gotta be God. The only way they making it, the only way they holding on, the only way they getting through this, that gotta be God. I got to have at least 12 of y'all. I make 13 that ought to be able to testify that I've been through some stuff in my life, and by the time God got through with me, I didn't want them to see me, but when they saw me get delivered, somebody had to say, that gotta be God. When they came out the fire, he said that their God is not our God. And they got out the fire. Their example became somebody else's testimony. Because of watching them, they saw God. You ain't catching me. That's the story I'm reminded of as I go to my seat.
Watch out, Nick.
There was this family that was on their way home from vacation. The mother and father was in the front seat. The older brother and the older sister was against the door in the back seat. The baby girl was sitting in the middle of the back row. They were having a wonderful time, singing, laughing, playing games with one another on their way home. Sadly, late that night, they got in a terrible accident. The car was totally destroyed. They had to use the jaws of life to open up the car to get them out of it. Sadly, the mother was killed. The father was killed. The older brother and sister was killed to mutilation. But the little girl in the middle came out without a scratch on her body. While standing there, watching them carry her family away one by one. Finally, one of the ladies walked up to the little girl and asked the little girl, baby, are you all right? She said, yes, ma'am, I am okay. She said, I can't understand how in the world can you be so strong after going through an accident that you just went through. And now you're the only survivor in your family. How in the world can you be so strong? The little girl said, one thing my mama and daddy did while raising us. They taught us to believe in God. And they would always say that everything that God does has a purpose. Ain't the Lord all right? And the woman said, well, if that's correct, why do you think God
rivet his feet, hung him high, spreading him wide. He dropped his head in the locks of his shoulder. Y'all know what he did, don't you? He died. Anybody know he died? Laid him down and a borrowed tomb. But thank God for Jesus. The purpose wasn't just to die, but I said earlier, early.